Hey, Magic fans, welcome back. This is your captain speaking, and we're here today to talk about a hot topic of Magic card reprinting. And I'm gonna be a fool and keep this hand. Topic for today: um, mystery boosters. So, for those of you who didn't know, mystery boosters were a thing that came out where they put these test cards into packs. And they sold these mystery boosters at conventions and whatever. And then they actually came out with the actual local printing of mystery booster boxes and so forth. There's a convention version, there's the regular version. And one of the things that they did was during this, they talked about how they're not going to print these anymore as a one time thing, yada, yada, yada. And because of that, these sealed mystery boosters, along with all the cards in there that were reprints, really skyrocketed. And the mystery boosters right now are currently going for somewhere around the range before this whole thing happened of $300 to $4,500 a box. And I've heard some people bought in for 2 or 3K a box because they thought they were going to be the next big thing going to 5 or 10K, and they really put a lot of bank on the fact that these would not be reprinted. Now, mind you, the mystery boosters are not on the reserve list. Well, we all know about the reserve list, right? They're also have reprints already in them, along with the new test cards, which are actually cards that have never been printed before. So, with that said, one of the things we got to remember about this is now what they've said they're going to do is they're going to reprint mystery boosters. They're going to basically flood the market, make them available again, do a reprinting of the entire set with the cards, the convention style, blah, blah, blah. And because of this release and the fact that they're going to do this mass wave of reprinting, which most of which will probably end on Amazon, like we talked about before, uh, the mystery boosters have dropped all the way down to eBay to a price of $8.99 to 1,000 a box. So it's literally dropped 70, 80, almost 90% of its value in the very, very slim margin of a day just on the announcement of this reprint. And this is the thing, guys. There are people that bought these boxes, like I mentioned, for $2,000, $3,000. Like, they just lost 50 to 75% of their investment, all because these cards are not on the reserve list. They're allowed to be reprinted, and that's exactly what's happening to them by Wizards of the Coast. And this is another reason why you have to really be careful what you invest in Wizards of the Coast as far as their product goes, especially sealed product. And don't buy the newer stuff at a high markup. If you can't get in the amount of time it would take for you to get those cards when they first come out at the bare box price, then you're really just setting yourself up for failure for the simple fact that these cards and these boxes can and will be reprinted in some way, shape, or form. Why? Because why not? That's how they can just make money hand over fist at Wizards by just printing stuff over and over and over again. So don't fall into this fallacy. And this is something that's really come up here lately that I've found really interesting, just on the pure fact that so many people are going to lose so much money, and those already have, is just phenomenal. And this is not going to be the end of it, guys. Like, this is going to be something you're going to see more often than not, especially from Wizards of the Coast, because this is how they make their money. Um, and I brought up the whole mystery booster thing, for one, to explain to you guys the ebbs and flow of it. Also, the other reason that I did do this is because I had a new patron, or a new person just subscribe um, to my channel. Matter of fact, I'll look his name up real quick if you'll give me one sweet second. His name is Michael. And Michael liked my video on how to make money selling magic cards online. And I do appreciate that. He had some very kind words. I do appreciate him for what he said. With that said, one of the other questions that he asked me in the comment section was, hey, I got some Zendikar boxes and he means pre-release boxes, I would assume, for $15, and they're going for 20 right now. Should he sell them? And my advice to him was no, because he'll lose most of his profit of that $5 in the selling fees and shipping expense of this box. And also, too, because it's still in print, it's not going to be worth very much because the cards are still in print. So my advice to him was to hold it for 2 to 5 years and then sell it sealed, because sealed products are always going to be better than anything else that you're going to get, and always better than singles. Um, and that's just the way things are, right? So one thing I don't want people to think is, oh, Clyde's just doing this and the captain's saying this because he believes in this or that. And it's really not the case. I really have this feeling that um, if if he was to sell these things, it would be very bad for him, money wise. And I just want him to know that, when I think about this and the other things, the mystery booster box example is the best example. If you've got these things for $15, which is $10 below retail, especially for Zendikar during a time when we had a pandemic and there was no pre-releases. The pre-release card in there is worth a little something now, but later down the road it'll be worth more for the simple fact that nobody will be able to get it. And that's what's going to be key. Is because that kind of stuff like that is what's going to make it valuable. Is the fact that no one can get it. So that's just one thing I'd like him to think about during this video and kind of take that in consideration. Is those are the kind of things that happened in the Wizard of the Coast world, and that's why when I do talk about people and I talk about stuff like, hey, you know, sit on sealed boxes and yada yada yada, that's the reason I go for that kind of stuff. Um, so I don't want him to get the wrong idea um, for whatever reason and make the mistakes that some other people do by selling early or trying to turn a quick $5 to $10. If you really want to sell um, cards like this, for example, one of the things you have to keep in mind, and when I say you have to, I mean it's pretty much nonstop. Um, you have to keep in mind the fact that uh, no matter what happens, it's only going to be worth more if you wait it out. And you should really set your plan up that way. And one of the things I really would like to stress to Michael in that kind of situation is um, during that kind of situation, the thing you should really be looking for is, can I get in cheap? And once I do, can I hold the product for a couple years or long enough to make it worth my while? And that's the key right there. Now there's a now granted, I do open a lot of my booster boxes, and my set boxes and whatever, and I do that for you guys to show that. But at the same time, when I do that, I put a couple collector boxes in the closet and then proceed to sell all the cards that I open, aside from a few that I do keep for myself because, I am a player. I do like the cards and I do want them. Um, but the big thing about that is I put the collector boxes back because they're the ones that's going to have value in the long term, because the collector boxes are driving down the price of everything else. And you can talk about how that's a good or a bad thing, and there's several different ways to look at that. But in a nutshell, that is what's happening. There's no if, there's no ands, there's no buts. But the good thing about it is making the game cheaper for people to get into and play without having to spend a whole lot of money on really expensive cards. The drawback of that, it makes it really hard to play the game as a collectible game and do card collecting. As you kind of, there's several ways that either you're a player, you're a collector, or you're an investor. I started out as a player. I grew into a collector for the cards that I liked while I started playing. And now I've turned into an investor where I still like to play the game. And I found a way by doing mass box openings that I can recoup some, maybe all of my money if I get really good pulls, But you guys seen that, even the greatest pulls I got on sometimes don't average me enough money back out of the boxes, considering I keep some of the cards. And I just kind of use the cards that I sell to offset me buying my next set. I still take a loss. Normally, most of the time, I do take a loss, but it's not as much of a loss of me just buying a bunch of cards and then not selling them, if that makes sense. So I hope that kind of gives you guys a brief overview of why I do what I do, why my thought process is, and what I think Magic is going toward. It's really going to be toward that sealed product where the good cards are going to be, because the chance of getting a good card makes the sealed product worth more than an open product when you know what cards you're going to get. Because you've already opened it, you've already got it. People can question whether it's real, they can question how near mint it is because it's been played or whatever. But if you sell the box sealed, you're selling a sealed box with no damages, no shrink wrap removed. That's easier to keep in good shape than it is to actually keep an individual card in good shape for a long period of time without proper storage and, you know, dry packs and so forth and so on and what have you. Because you have to do the whole, hey, this is my desiccant, so my cards don't get moist and curl, and I'm gonna put some cards on top of this so that they don't curl because the pressure holds them down, and yada yada yada. Like, there's lots of hoops that you have to jump through to do all that, and some people don't have the time or the space or the storage. But if you keep the cards sealed, regardless of whether they're foil as soon as you open a pack or not, they're sold as a sealed product and flat, so they're worth more, and so forth and so on. So that's just some things I want to get out in the open for you guys. And Michael, thanks again for the cool comments and all the ideas. Once again, guys, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell if you have any questions, anything you want me to cover. Put it down in the comment section. I'd love to talk to you guys. And as always, let's build a nicer, kinder community out there for the Magic environment. Even though we may not be loved by Wizards, we still love this game. And let's play this game the way we should and love the game like it needs to be loved, and each other. So until next time, guys, remember, this is your captain speaking, and be kind. And I'll see you then.